Welcome. My name is Błażej Kotełko. I work as a product manager in Microsoft Development Center Copenhagen, where we develop Business Central, and we also develop a mobile app for Business Central. Today we will be talking about the mobile app and its new capabilities, including barcode scanning. Announcing right now in October 2023, we have released the new version of our mobile app. This is version 4.0, available, of course, for iOS and Android. Supports new versions of those operating systems and has some changes. And then, of course, new features, which we will be talking about right now. This app is backward compatible, so you can download it from the store and use on your devices, even if you are connecting to previous version of Business Central, or even if you are working with Business Central on premises. But of course, to get the most out of it, you would need Business Central 2023 Wave 2. And of course, after you download the app, please give us a good rating. First feature that I would like to mention in that mobile app is Tell Me, the support for Tell Me on mobile. The Alt-Q keyboard shortcut is probably one of the most popular on desktop. And right now this feature is coming to mobile. In order to enable that feature, you have to go to Feature Management and turn it on. And of course, if you have a new environment, like for instance, the Preview Sandbox, this will be turned on by you by default. It supports phone, tablet devices, various landscape and portrait modes. And of course, it works in the same way as Tell Me works on desktop. You can search for any page, report, and then of course, if the user has enough permissions to go and navigate to that page, it will work. It also supports the keyboard shortcut, actually, the Alt-Q keyboard shortcut. So if you have a mobile device, like for instance, a tablet with a keyboard, it will also work with Alt-Q. Next one is the search for data. So this feature, search for data, is enabled on desktop within Tell Me. And we have done the same for mobile. So right now, if you are running a mobile device, you can search for data from that Tell Me experience, from that search experience on mobile. And it works in the same way. It uses the same scoping for data that is available for the specific user, but it can be also configured by the administrator to access specific tables. So the administrator is doing that on desktop, and the user logging from mobile device will have the same experience or the same access as doing that from desktop. And then, of course, permissions are also honored in the same way. This feature also needs to be enabled in Feature Management together with Tell Me. That is relatively straightforward. Next thing is something that is coming soon, and that is support for worksheet pages on mobile phones specifically. You have probably seen that if you navigate to a page of type worksheet, those worksheet pages are defined in a more complex way. Usually they are meant to enter data in this kind of Excel-like format. So they didn't really work nicely on mobile phones. And previously, you would see an error message saying that, unfortunately, this type of an experience is not available on the phone, and you need to go and switch to a tablet or desktop. Coming in version 23.1, so not right now in October, but a little bit later in the November timeframe, this type of experience will also be available on mobile phone, and it will work in the same way as currently document pages. So you will have a header and a footer and the lines, and then you will navigate through those lines and edit one by one. So it's a slightly different experience as to desktop, but most importantly, those worksheet pages will be available on phone finally. We're welcoming this change, and I'm hoping that you also will be happy with this change coming later this wave. But the most important thing, or most fun thing about this new mobile app is the support for barcode scanning. To demonstrate that and talk about that in detail, I would welcome my colleagues from the engineering team, Claudio and Kasim.
Thank you, Błażej. I'm Claudio. I'm part of the software engineering team here working on Business Central in Copenhagen. And today I'm joined by my colleague Kasim.
Hi, I'm Kasim, and I also work in the application team based in Denmark as well.
Yeah, so as my colleague has previously mentioned, we are bringing some new features to the mobile app in this wave. And the one that I'm focusing on is the barcode scanning feature. We believe that by bringing this new feature in the application, we will increase the overall UX experience of the application, but also improve the user productivity. So therefore, we now, in the new mobile application, we support native barcode scanning that can be enabled via the AL language. It works on all supported phones, tablets, via camera. It uses native mobile OS capabilities, which means that it's actually using software-specific, machine learning software-specific for actually detecting the barcodes. And then we are also bringing a third integration for the barcode scanning capability, and that is we have integrated dedicated barcode scanning devices with Business Central. In terms of the supported barcode types, out-of-the-box support, we do support most of the well 1D and 2D barcode formats. And probably the most important thing, we do support QR codes as well, because we do know that our partners have actually asked for this specific thing. So yes, we do support QR codes as well. For the native barcode scanner support, we have come up with 3 scenarios, which are the following. We've added a new button in the UI that invokes the camera scanning capability. So basically, when a user taps on this button, the camera is going to be invoked, and therefore he's going to be able to scan the barcode, which in turn is going to be sent to process to AL. Then secondly, we want to add more flexibility to AL developers, so we allow them to actually integrate with camera scanning capabilities via an AL extensibility. And the third one, as I mentioned, we are integrating in this new mobile app release with dedicated barcode scanner devices. However, with a caveat, we only support devices that are running on Android OS. For this first scenario, we are introducing a new capability to add an action via AL, which is going to project or render something on a string, something like the one that you see on the slides, an icon with a barcode scanner inside icon, that when your user taps that, actually the camera barcode scanning capability will be invoked. In order to do so, it's quite easy to actually have this new capability. All you need to do is actually annotate a field of type code and text with the extended data type property equals barcode. As soon as an AL developer does that, it will instruct the mobile client to show the barcode scanning capability when the page is rendered on the supported device. Secondly, as I said, we wanted to actually bring some more flexibility and give some more flexibility to AL developers so they can actually use the new barcode scanning capability via AL and integrate with it. For example, not only that they can actually use it next to a field, but it can also enable the capability by a role sender queue, an action, a button, a link, or some automated logic, for instance, when a page is open. And of course, once this barcode is actually scanned, that is returned, the data is returned to AL for further processing. And now, my colleague Kasim is actually going to demonstrate you how we integrated this in the new Business Central application.
Thank you, Claudia. So I will demonstrate this barcode functionality by doing an end-to-end scenario inside Business Central, and we'll show you how we along the way, I will show you how we have integrated the barcode features inside different business processes inside Business Central. So I will start by creating an item, then we will try to produce that item, and finally we will try to sell this item. So let's start. So the first thing I will go is to see the item itself. So I have created this item called coffee beans, and there are a few things I want to mention about this item that I have created. The first thing is the GTIN number. I've defined this number which can be used to uniquely identify this item, and barcode scanners can use this to either track or identify this particular item. And now we also have this feature to print the label for this GTIN number for this particular item. And once I do that, let's see how the label itself looks like. So this is the label once I press print, looks like. This is a Word report. And like Claudia mentioned, there are a lot of formats that we support. But for this demo, I've used the standard one-dimension barcode, and I've also used the QR code. So now we can actually print this label as well. And one more thing that I want to show about this item is the item references. So the GTI number basically identify the item uniquely. But to identify the variants of that item, we use the item references. So over here, you can see we have a new reference type called barcode. And using this, we can identify each type of coffee beans in our case. It could be either a box of coffee beans or a pack of coffee beans. We can also identify the validity of these reference number by specifying the starting and end date. So let's say this box reference item is only valid for a week. So similarly, like GTIN number, we can use the print label action to actually print the reference number labels as well. And you can see now we have printed 2 reference number labels, one for a pack of coffee beans and the other is for the box of coffee beans. So now we have an item for which we have identified the GTIN number, and we have a couple of reference number, and we have also specified the item tracking information for this. So let's try to produce some of these items. So I will go to the assembly orders. And over here, you can see I'm trying to produce 5 coffee beans, 5 packs of coffee beans. And I've specified the location and the bin where this will be located, and I've assigned the resource to it. So now I will go to the item tracking lines for this assembly order. By using the assign serial number action, I can create 5 serial numbers for these 5 coffee beans that we are going to produce. So now I have created these 5 serial numbers for 5 coffee beans packs that we are going to create. Now if I go to the serial number information card page, I have the option to actually print the label for these serial numbers. So for all of these 5 items that we create, we can place the serial number on each individual, which will uniquely identify each coffee beans pack. So let's try to print the labels for these serial numbers as well. So similar like GTIN number and reference number, we have 5 barcode tags for serial number as well. So now we have created the serial number for these 5 items, coffee beans that we are going to create. Now we can actually post this assembly order and we will produce the 5 coffee beans. So let's go and post. While this posting is going on, just to summarize what we have done so far, we have identified the GTIN number for the items. We have identified a few reference numbers for the item. In the end, we have created and produced 5 coffee beans. So let's assume I'm a warehouse employee right now. So what we have done so far is create 5 packs of coffee beans. So it looks something like this. And we have the serial number barcode printed in the front, and we have the GTIN number and the reference number printed on the back side. So let's open the Business Central app in the tablet and see how the warehouse employee might interact with these barcode features. So the first thing that you might see in the warehouse worker role center is 2 new actions. One is called the item inquiry, and the second is called item bin content inquiry. Both of these actions allow us to scan the barcode and either get the details about the item or get the details about the item in a particular bin. So let's try the item bin content inquiry. So over here, you can see there is this icon for barcode, and this is just by defining the extended data type as barcode, and it automatically picks it up. Over here, the barcode could be either GTIN number or the reference number of the item itself. So let's try to scan the reference number. I will press this icon, and as soon as I scan the reference number, the bin content has been opened, and I can see I have like 15 quantity of this coffee beans inside silver. So now let's try to sell some of these. So I will go to the sales order, create a new sales order, specify the customer that we are going to sell this. And on the line, again, you have the option to select the item either from the drop-down, or you can use this barcode icon to scan the reference number. So let's scan the reference number again for this coffee beans, and you can see it automatically fills the line, and it also knows like which type of reference number I've attached. So it's for this demo, it's like the pack. So let's try to sell 3 coffee beans pack. And we need to identify the location as well because it was in silver location. So let's go to the item tracking lines for this line. Over here, you can see I could either scan each individual pack of coffee beans from the line itself, or I could use the action called scan multiple, which will allow me to continue scanning. So since we have more than one item, so I will use the scan multiple, and we are going to scan serial numbers. So I'm going to scan one by one, and you can see it's pretty fast, and I don't have to do anything else. And as soon as my order is complete, it basically notifies me that I have fulfilled the order, and the lines are already inserted. Now all we have to do is post this sales order, and we are good to go. So now let's look how it looks like in the code. So the first part is to define this extended data type barcode. And as soon as you define this extended data type, the mobile devices automatically recognize this as a barcode field, and they will place this barcode icon in front of it. And that's it. And the second part that we have used in the item tracking pages, where we have manually triggered the camera scanning functionality. These are the few steps that you have to do inside your AL code. The first step is to define your barcode scanning provider. And then you have to, in step number 2, you have to see if the barcode scanner provider exists. So for example, if you open it in a browser, this will be false. And once the camera barcode provider exists, then you just create it. And then the final step is to actually call the camera action. So this step 4 could be inside some action. So once you call this, there are 2 triggers that could happen. Either it's a successful barcode scanning, then you will come inside this barcode available function, and then you can do the post-processing. Or if there's a failure to scan the barcode or you exit, then you come inside this barcode failure function trigger. And this is how we have used in the item tracking as well. You can see when I press the scan multiple action, I triggered the camera scanner provider so that the camera is triggered and I can do the continuous scanning. So yeah, that's all from my end, and I will let Gloria to explain a bit more about the barcode functionality that we have.
Yeah, thanks, Kasim. Really nice demos, by the way. As my colleagues have showed you, we have integrated the first 2 scenarios that we conceived for the camera barcode scanning for the mobile application, but we also came up with a 3rd scenario, and that is to actually support integration with dedicated barcode scanning devices, such as the one that I'm actually holding in my hand. These new scenarios, this 3rd scenario is actually tailored and targeted specifically for warehouse employees who are actually used to scan multiple items in a span of a few seconds. And in order to actually use this new capability, an AL developer needs to explicitly instruct the BC app to start listening for any incoming barcodes, and once the application is doing that, then it's just going to start listening for any numbers of incoming barcode data. So as a warehouse employee keeps on scanning each item in the warehouse, BC will intercept all these messages coming from the barcode scanner. Yet again, as in the 2nd scenario, this is done via AL extensions, and it's set up per page, meaning that multiple providers can be registered, so there is multiple pages can actually listen to incoming barcodes. However, there's a small caveat. We only send the information to the topmost page. That is the current page that the user sees. And now in terms of code, I would like to show you how easy and seamlessly we are able to integrate the new capability. As you can see, we try to keep the same API for both the camera barcode scanner, but also for the barcode scanner provider. Of course, the naming of the methods that you need to call is going to be different than the classes. However, we try to kind of keep it and align a uniform API, so it's actually easier for the AL developer to integrate these new capabilities. So therefore, as in the previous example, in step 1, all you need to do is to specify the capability that you want, in this case, the barcode scanner provider, check if it's actually available, create the provider, and request for the barcode scanner. Once this is done, the page is going to start listening to, or the mobile app is going to start listening for any incoming barcode data. And of course, as soon as the user starts actually scanning some items, we are going to intercept this message and send it to AL, and that can be received via this trigger, barcode received. And as soon as a message is received, AL can receive it, will receive it as well for further processing. Yeah, so that's it in terms of the new capabilities for barcode scanning. The first scenario is the possibility to add a UI action, a UI button on any client page. Second scenario is to allow AL developers to easily integrate and access camera barcode scanning capabilities. And the third scenario is integrating with a dedicated barcode scanning device. Again, it's really important to mention that this is only supported in the latest version of the mobile app, that is version 4.0, and also is only supported in the new Business Central release, Wave 2. As you can see, we have added some functionality for the camera barcode scanning, but also for the dedicated barcode scanning. However, we are always looking forward to receive some new ideas and questions from our partners. So please do reach us on all the different media channels. That's all for what is new in the mobile application. Thank you for joining the session, and thank you, Kasim, for showing us the demo.
Yeah, thank you.